Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the United States of Captain America Issue 1. And I really overall enjoyed this issue because I liked how this creative team was able to handle Steve and Sam and kind of introducing Aaron Fisher into their kind of dynamic as we get the kind of overall larger story pumping forward. And this is kind of like a 5 issue miniseries, so I kind of like how it starts off not super fast, but not super slow either. I'm one for okay slow burning kind of stories, but like in certain instances there can be things that are too slow. I mean, there's this game that I've been playing that it's like, yes, there's like other games afterwards. It's like this is the prologue. It's like this thing is like 50 to 60 hours. What the hell? I'm not saying that you need to freaking be like, I am the evil man, like 2 pages into something. Just like, sometimes your pacing needs to have a good thing, and I like the pacing start to this. So, we start off this issue pretty much having Steve ruminate on like dreams and lies in like America and how the shield kind of and him as a symbol kind of works into that. And I understand that a lot of different writers and creative teams tackle that kind of issue. I liked how this one was as well, and I can understand how people are like, oh, they keep like harping on that, but it's an important and integral kind of part to Steve, and it's an important thing to see a creative team kind of work with this, and I liked how they did this with Steve here, talking about how dreams. He said that he was loyal to the dream, and that the problem is like sometimes you wake up from the dream and you can't like really grasp it before going into like 2 dreams and a lot. How you've got the first one, which is like the Americana dream, the white picket fence and everything. How that one, if not carefully, leads to like nationalism and jingoism and all that kind of stuff, and how if it's not done, if it is gone to those kind of extremes and excluding people, it becomes the American lie. Where he thinks that if it's a good dream, it should be shared and shared radically. Where the other part of the dream is that kind of goal that you strive for. That sometimes you might not reach it, but the important part is to kind of strive for it because you work hard for it, and it's worth it. It's like, yeah, that's cool, and it really kind of hits to a thing that really resonates with me with Steve as Cap, and I'm like, yeah, all right, you're setting me off here good. I'm like, all right, sweet. And he, of course, is like cleaning his shield and everything, and talking about how the Smithsonian wants the real deal. They have like a copy in there, but they want the real deal in there, and for like Americans who fought or whatnot. And he doesn't really like that because there were certain instances where we fought when there was been a better way, and how he still honors those that fought with what they did because they were doing it for like to make things better. And then of course he sees like how him and the shield have like evolved over these years, how certain people use it for shitty kind of things, and how he's used as a scapegoat for when things go bad, and sometimes he's thinking that like he divides more than he unites. And he's like ruminating on that before, bam, out of nowhere, we see this other dude dressed as Cap pretty much fighting him. And now, granted, it's in a dark kind of thing at night, so there's not really a big dynamic kind of action scene or whatnot, but you kind of get the idea of the flow of the movement as this dude pretty much comes in. Steve is able to like get a little bit in, I mean, not like big ass hits, but he isn't just completely screwed off on the get go, but he was surprise attacked, and the dude was able to get the shield and like books it. He's like, dang it. And it was a mighty shield. And then he, of course, gets into his kind of suit that is more reminiscent of the Winter Soldier kind of suit that he's usually had around sometimes. And, of course, he gets in contact with Sam because he's like, hey, can you get a beat on this dude? It's like, holy shit. He's, like, booking it. So, of course, Steve's on his Harley, and they're trying to figure out where he's going, and he goes towards, like, this freight train thing going on, and he's dressed as Cap. He's got the shield, and he uses the shield and throws it at the train to kind of like, and it kind of stops it and kind of puts it in a kind of bad position. And he tries to get Sam to kind of like go after him first, but of course another train's coming in. Steve kind of then drops what's going on with that dude, goes, tells them to break, And the thing is, it's not horrendous, but it's not the best either. They kind of like crash. Steve gets in to try and see what's going on with people, tries to help them out. It's like, yeah, that's what Steve would do. They, of course, see some dude that's kind of has some Captain America kind of looking stuff on him and has a shield, and Steve tackles him. He's like, hey, what's going on? But we find out that this is Aaron Fisher. This is another dude. He's like, you want to kind of give us something here? And he's like, yeah, I'm Captain America. He's like, joking's not really good about this time, dude. Talking about, like, that's a quick way to, like, lose your teeth, man. What's going on here? Thinking he's being kind of, like, flippant or whatnot. Now, granted, this is your classic heroes meeting heroes for the first time and trying to get that conversation style down. Of course, Aaron kind of gives us his kind of, like, quick down spiel, how he's a dude that, like, rides the rails. His dad tried to beat the him out of him, and he's just trying to help people as much as possible. I was like, all right, then. Cool. Let's, and, of course, he's kind of rambling because he's like, wow, 2 Caps, man. And we find that he's kind of more partial to Sam as Cap. We see that more in his kind of side story. Well, not side story, his origin kind of stuff that we get at the end. And they're just trying to help some people out, and then we see that, like, there's a sniper thing going on, and Steve tackles him out of the way, but not before he kind of, like, still is hit in the arm, and Steve uses the shield that he was using to kind of knock this, like, female assassin down as she, like, loses her gun and then jumps into the river and kind of books away. So, alright. That was kind of freaky. She was specifically targeting you, kid. And he, of course, brings up that there's all other kind of Captains America around, and that they don't know each other. It's not a super team, but that they kind of know of each other and everything. So, all right. And then we get to kind of like the next day. We see that Steve and Sam are having their little powwow. We see Sam doing his kind of like jokes of like, yeah, I'm worth at least 2 caps, maybe like 49 caps, and I don't mind it. It kind of fits with Sam's style, but it's almost like when you call something the United States of Captain America and you're doing kind of like caps by state. It's like, yeah, I get you gotta make the state jokes of like the amount of states and everything. And it's not horrible. It's just like, all right, I see you kind of had to make that joke, and I just wish it had worked a little bit more in Sam's kind of like joking flavor, but it's not horrible. But they're trying to figure out what's going on. He's like, all right, we gotta do this. All right. These kind of things seem to be connected. Let's try and figure out what's going on with these caps and get them all together. He's like, hey, yeah. Oh, you asking me to suit up? He's like, yep. And he's like, I'm going to need a shield. And I was like, yeah, I can help you out with that. So they're going to be going around trying to figure out what's going on with this dude that stole the shield and figure out what's going on with these groups of Captains America and what's going on there. It's like, yeah, I really love a good kind of buddy dynamic, and we at least have a good idea that this creative team definitely understands kind of like Sam and Steve's buddy up style, and it's like, all right, cool, let's see how this works out. And they both call each other Captain. I'm like, yes. So that's where the main kind of story issue ends, where we're like, okay, somebody's trying to get the shield and somebody's trying to assassinate this person that's pretty much trying to be a Captain America person. So let's kind of see how this goes. Well, we then shift and we get a thing that dives into Aaron Fisher's part, and it's not bad. It's got a good base, but I still don't feel like we have a complete idea of kind of his character. I'll kind of compare it to like Robbie Reyes when he was introduced as Ghost Rider. I usually like kind of like Johnny Blaze or whatnot. I'm not that well versed with like Danny Ketch. But when they introduced Robbie Reyes, it's like, okay, he really looks out for his brother. He'll pretty much do anything for his brother, and he gets into this whole kind of messy situation where he pretty much gets killed and gets possessed by his like undead uncle's spirit, and that's how he kind of becomes Ghost Rider with a Hell Charger. I'm like, all right, you kind of got me. They really got me into there with him, and it's like, all right, you got the setup, you got the foundation. I'm like, all right, cool. So it's always kind of weird when I'm like looking at that. I'm like, okay. He had his ears. I'm like, ah. Here with Aaron Fisher, it's just, okay, you kind of got the base, but I kind of need a little bit more to get invested in him. And I'm like, if they do the work, there's something here for them to do. It's like railroad, kind of drifter Captain America riding the rails. That's interesting. And we see that he like goes around, he tries to help people and everything, and as he is now stopped kind of like in the New York area, we see that like homeless encampments and everything are being like taken down and everything, and that some kind of shady shit's going on, and we find out that it's Roxxon, and he's trying to figure out what's happening with them, but of course he gets captured, knocked out, and put into pretty much this labor camp where they like force him to do all this kind of stuff as he kind of learns with his point of contact. He's like, all right, I figured out if I was going to be in a kind of point where like this, what I would do, and he pretty much makes himself up like Captain America does a shield and is able to like kick some ass. He has some pretty good action scenes, but it's like, okay, I understand you're a rail rider and all that kind of stuff. It just so that would lend you to being able to understand scrapping and everything like that. But these are like, I just needed a little bit more work to understand him having the abilities to like beat these guys, because they're supposed it's not specifically on him, but it's like the stormtrooper effect. Oh, this is the 501st Legion of the Empire. These are like the elite of the elite. Here come the Ewoks with sticks and shit, and they gonna fuck you up. Now, granted, they can yub and fucking eat you in some soup, but you kind of have to make enough work and connective tissue to be like how that happens. This in this comic isn't that bad of an issue of like, there's no way. It's not like he was a baby that suddenly somehow started levitating and went, I am now Starbrand baby, and then like fucking thunder sharded like some people to death. That's not that horrendous. But I kind of wanted to see a little bit of what his kind of combat abilities were to kind of get to this state. But he does some cool ass action scenes. He's able to get the people out of the camp while he's riding the rail, and decides to kind of like be together with his informant, well, not informant, but his point of contact that he made in that Roxxon camp. It's like, okay, cool, that has a nice base. I kind of just want a little bit more done with him, because we get that he wants to help people, and that he feels for the people on the railways and like those who are homeless and those who are transient and everything like that. I just need a little bit more. And that he's kind of rambling and everything. We got a little bit more of an understanding of his personality actually in the main portion of the issue than with this one. This portion getting more into his origin story. So hopefully they do a little bit more with him, because I mean there's something that they could do there. Otherwise I just feel like it'd be like a waste of a character. Let's kind of see where it kind of goes, because now granted, I don't mind experimentation in comic books where you're like, okay, here's this character. Sometimes it doesn't work under a certain creative team, and sometimes it works fucking awesomely. And it just kind of figures how a creative team wants to do with something like that. So I liked the setup of this whole United States of Captain America setting off this kind of thing of like, okay, somebody stole the shield, we got some assassins, we got a lot of other Caps. Sam and Steve want to figure this shit out. Let's go. And I think this will follow the same kind of structure where we get the first part is going to be dealing with this story, and then we'll get the kind of more kind of in-depth look of what's going on with the other Captains America as we go through. So I'm excited to see this and kind of see where this kind of goes. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.